The Long Walk, based on a Stephen King novel from the late 70s, just came out. It's a generally neat idea, but the movie is a snoozer. Ironically, one of the biggest mistakes is that the runtime is about an hour and 40 minutes, and probably an hour and 30 minutes of it is the walk. You get a couple minutes of a flashback, a couple minutes at the end of the winter, but overall, the whole movie is just watching people walk, and they don't do anything interesting with it. There's no strategy. You don't care about the characters. It literally is just walking. And I actually don't believe that these people could walk for this long by the end of the movie. So let's just get into it. The premise is once a year, a young man from all 50 states goes and does this walk. They all walk on the road until there's no one left, and the last person standing is the winner. There's no real world building. It's just supposed to be dystopian. They talk about how everyone is poor. They talk about how people think that the walk might be a scam because they don't ever actually see anybody with the winnings or anybody who's rich. I'm sure the fact that it's all young men and was written in the late 70s is some kind of commentary on the Vietnam War. But yeah, that's the entire premise. You get like 5 minutes at the beginning of Raymond saying goodbye to his mom. She's pretty upset he's doing the walk because there's only one survivor, and you kind of just get into it. You have Mark Hamill as the major. He explains to him the rules, which is you get 3 warnings and then get shot. You have to stay on the road, and that's kind of it. I was hoping there'd be more strategy to it. So they walk, and over the course of 5 days, which again, I don't believe due to sleep deprivation, people fall out. Your 2 main characters are Raymond and Peter. There's no real suspense about who the last 2 standing are going to be because it's very, very obvious from the get-go. You get kind of some caricatures of characters. One guy is supposed to be kind of a dick and doesn't think you should be making friends. You get a guy who's sick. You get guys who seem to know a little bit more. But because the movie doesn't properly set up any of the characters and they just try to give it to you through a little bit of exposition while they're walking, you end up bogged down with just kind of chit chat and bullshit. Maybe the book plays out better where you're in the character's head and it can kind of go through the mental process of the walk and how draining it is. But you just kind of see them get tired and sweaty, and then they look extra tired right before they're going to die. And they do that over and over. So once you get past the shock of 1 or 2 of the kids being knocked off, that's all the movie really has going for it. You find out partway through that Raymond's motivation is that in this dystopian society, they're not allowed to know of the old world, which just includes music and culture. And the major is the one who killed his dad. So he wants to win, ask for the gun, and then kill the major. When you finally get down to Raymond and Peter, Peter tries to sacrifice himself so that Raymond can get back to his mom. Raymond gets him to keep walking and then sacrifices himself. And then Peter asks for the carbine, shoots the major, and walks off. No conclusive ending, no display of the consequences. I guess you can assume they just kill him because it's that kind of society, but there's not really much interesting in the movie. I'm assuming the movie is supposed to be some kind of critique of capitalism given Stephen King's views, a kind of criticism of throwing men away in senseless wars, since the point of this walk is kind of senseless anyway. The explanation they give is that their walk will motivate people to work harder and make the country #1 again. They all but say make America great again. None of it really makes sense and none of it's really expounded on. You're not left with anything beyond what seems like the bullet point of one vague, interesting concept. I was really hoping there'd be more strategy involved, almost like a Squid Game type deal where we'd see kids maybe push one another off the road, maybe try to hurt each other to slow each other down. Maybe they actually get breaks and they can scheme and plot and recover and kind of strategize around the breaks. But the whole movie is they had to stay above a minimum of 3 miles an hour, and that's it. I was kind of hoping it would be more of you have to cover 3 miles each hour and not a consistent 3 miles an hour, to see if there might be people who try to say, okay, I'll run 10 miles and then rest for a couple hours, kind of like an incremental thing instead of just a slow, steady walk. But even with just the 3 mile an hour minimum, one guy at the very beginning kind of tries to find the exact 3 mile an hour pace and gets a warning, but then it never comes up again. And even like a day or 2 into the walk, which is over 100 miles, they're walking at like 3.4 or 3.5 because they show their wrist trackers. So I don't know why they wouldn't all be walking like either exactly at 3 or at 3.1, knowing what the competition is. They say right up front, there's going to only be one winner. There's no length or distance limit. You just walk until there's one man standing. It's the kind of premise where you're expecting some sort of twist or maybe someone tries to find a loophole or anything, but it really just boils down to them walking. A couple guys try to go after the guards and take their guns, but they get shot right away. A couple people snap, go crazy. Some people just fall out. Most of them just fall out of line eventually. I think the movie would have really served itself quite a bit better if it had just given the first 20, 30 minutes to set up the characters, to set up the world, maybe let the characters meet each other for a bit before the walk. Because a big part of the premise is that they're all trying to support each other and get along and help each other, even though they know that there can only be one winner, which you can buy in certain things like Hunger Games, where teamwork helps, or Squid Game, where you need cooperation. You don't know there's only going to be one winner, because there's not necessarily only going to be one in Squid Game, as we saw in season 3. But this one, where you know what you're signing up for, you show up to walk, and then they don't even spend any time together. I kind of get that they would bond over the course of the walk. It just puts the movie in a really bad place to have any characters that you actually care about. And the way the movie handles it is just some random exposition pretty much right before a character dies. And that's kind of all you get, which is not a great way to get attached to your characters or be emotionally upset when one of them dies. They're just kind of thrown out there and you're supposed to feel bad for them. And it really just relies on you buying the premise whole cloth and doing all the legwork for the movie. Yeah, there's really not a ton to say about it. Honestly, this was kind of a snoozer. You'd probably benefit from a long nap of the same length of this movie. Maybe the book is better and more interesting. I know that one of the only changes was apparently he asked him to knock it down from 4 miles an hour to 3, which is a big difference, but I mean, at least the movie would have been a little bit faster if they were going 4 miles an hour instead. And they end up lasting about 5 days, which I just don't buy. They are given rations and water, but still, after like 24 hours of straight walking and no sleep, I think most people would just fall over. I mean, they even have to shit while they walk. So there's really just no strategy. Yeah, decent trailer. I'm sure the book is fine. Boring ass movie with pretty much no character or world building. I would recommend probably anything else. I'll leave it there for this one. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think. Try to respond in the comments that aren't just insults. Like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.